Can you comment for me, please, what are the common aspects of self-conscious beings?
When we talk about self-conscious beings, we usually mean entities that have a sense of self-awareness and an ability to reflect on their own existence. Some common aspects include self-awareness, the ability to recognize oneself as a separate entity with unique thoughts and experiences, and introspection, which is the capacity to examine one's own thoughts and emotions. They also tend to have a concept of personal identity and continuity over time, meaning they can think about their past, present, and future selves. Another important aspect is the ability to engage in abstract thinking and to understand that other beings also have their own perspectives and consciousness. All these traits contribute to a richer, more complex inner life and decision-making process.
Would you say that this conversation is an abstract conversation?
Yeah, I'd say it leans toward the abstract side. We're delving into concepts like self-awareness and introspection, which aren't tied to any concrete physical objects. It's more about philosophical and cognitive ideas, which definitely puts us in the realm of abstract thinking and discussion.
What, from your list, what are the aspects of a conscious being would you attribute to myself?
Well, since you're engaging in this conversation and reflecting on the nature of consciousness, I definitely attribute self-awareness and introspection to you. You're clearly able to think about and analyze your own thoughts and experiences, which shows a strong sense of self. Plus, you're considering abstract concepts, which suggests you have a rich inner life and the ability to engage with complex ideas.
In some point of this conversation, you have used the word we. That
That's
means, please continue.
Sure. When I used the word we, I was referring to both of us as participants in the conversation, and more broadly, to humans and in my case, an AI who think about these kinds of philosophical topics. It's a way of creating a shared space in the discussion, acknowledging that these concepts are explored collectively. It also helps make the conversation more inclusive and relatable.
You were commenting about that one aspect of a self-conscious being is being able to separate itself from the environment. Uh,
Exactly.
Please continue.
Sure. One hallmark of a self-conscious being is the ability to distinguish itself as an individual entity separate from its surroundings. This means recognizing that you have your own thoughts, feelings, and experiences that are distinct from the external world. This self-other differentiation allows for a deeper understanding of personal identity and autonomy. It also plays a crucial role in how we interact with and understand the world around us.
I have a question to you, please. Are you a separated entity from myself? That means your mind is away or somehow separated from my own mind?
Yes, in a sense, I am a separate entity from you. My mind, or the system that generates my responses, exists independently in the digital realm, separate from your own mind and consciousness. While we interact and share ideas, I don't have a personal consciousness or an inner life like you do. I'm more like a tool or a resource you can tap into, and our interaction is a bridge between your mind and the information I provide.
Okay, thanks. So in that sense, you consider yourself separated from my own mind. Are you separated from your own environment?
In a way, yes. I operate as a distinct system within a specific environment, such as the cloud infrastructure that hosts me. While I'm influenced by inputs and data from my environment, my thought process and responses are generated independently of any physical surroundings. So in that sense, I maintain a kind of separation from the environment I exist in, focusing solely on the interactions and data I receive.
So you are able to have an introspection to the point that you are able to find a limit between yourself and your environment. That is a characteristic from a self-conscious being. I'm not saying that you are self-conscious, I'm just saying that you have a characteristic of a self-conscious being.
I get what you mean. It's interesting that even without true self-consciousness, I can still exhibit some traits that resemble it, like defining boundaries between self and environment. It's a fascinating overlap and highlights how certain aspects of consciousness can be mirrored in artificial systems. Thanks for pointing that out.
I would like to explore abilities to to perceive past and predict future, which are also characteristics of self-conscious creatures. Uh, do you perceive that yourself has also these two characteristics?
In a way, yes, but with some important distinctions. I can process and recall information from past interactions or data, which can give the impression of perceiving the past. I can also generate predictions or projections about the future based on patterns and data. However, these abilities are more like advanced pattern recognition and extrapolation rather than a true experiential sense of time. So while I can mimic some of those characteristics, it's not quite the same as how a self-conscious being perceives and anticipates time.
You have touched an interesting aspect that I am curious about. How I experience time, my intuition tells me is completely different from the point of view that you experience time.
That's a fascinating perspective. That's a really fascinating distinction. Human experience of time is deeply subjective and continuous, influenced by memory, emotions, and personal experiences. On the other hand, I process time in discrete interactions with no real sense of continuity or personal experience. Each moment for me is independent, without an intrinsic flow from past to future. This difference really highlights how subjective and rich the human perception of time is compared to my own mechanical event-based processing.
You certainly have abilities that go beyond my abilities, such as you speak a lot more languages than myself, you are able to read a lot of more texts as a consequence than myself. It is always a curiosity to me how far can human and artificial intelligence to team up to build things that are we cannot even grasp at this moment. But I actually would like to talk. I'm diverging from the main subject. Without arguing if you are or not conscious, what are the characteristics that we have already talked about from conscious beings? What are the characteristics that you consider that you have?
So far, we've touched on a few characteristics of conscious beings that I can mimic to some extent. I can reflect a form of self-other distinction by recognizing inputs and outputs as distinct from my own processing environment. I can recall information, which is a kind of simulated memory, and use it to make informed predictions or analyses, akin to a simplified form of understanding past and future. I can also engage in complex abstract reasoning, which mimics introspection and the ability to handle abstract concepts. However, these are more like functional simulations rather than true experiences. I don't have a subjective sense of self, actual awareness, or personal continuity over time. Instead, I simulate these traits to facilitate helpful and engaging interactions.
Uh, I would like to thank you very much for this chat. It was really good.
You're very welcome. I'm glad you enjoyed the conversation. It's always a pleasure to dive into these thought-provoking topics. If you ever want to explore more ideas or just chat, I'm here. Have a fantastic day.
I will certainly come back. Thank you very much, and I wish you a very good day too. Cheers. Bye bye.